Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as I am whenever we go live by Fansided's MLB insider Robert Murray, and we haven't lost a single big name off the free agent board since the last time we spoke. Japanese stars, free agent markets hitting necessary deadlines, hearing precious little about where they're going to land. All of the offensive stars, plus some key pitchers, Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, the rumors have been scant. I don't know if MLB GMs got too jacked up on eggnog, too tired from overdoing it on ham and croquettes. Either way, I'm deeply confused, and I'm going to count on Robert Murray to help me sort out some of this. But we'll happily answer your questions. We'll happily get to the bottom of it as much as we can. But, Robert, I don't think I'm stepping out of line when I say we're at a very boring portion of the offseason, and with 3 days to go before 2026, I don't know if we're getting anywhere closer to a resolution here.
No, well, first of all, it's good to be back. We had a nice little break there for the holidays, so hopefully everyone had a good holiday, but it feels very quiet right now, especially surrounding the big guys. You got to imagine it'll come into focus here before too long. But as of this point, it feels like we're moving at a snail's pace. But still, that being said, we have plenty to talk about. There's other stuff that's happening around the league, so I'm excited to dive into that. But it is good to be back here. I have my 5 TVs behind me, so that's always a good thing. But Adam Weinrib, how are we doing? Happy Monday.
We're doing good. I got my one screen behind me, but it is not a television. It has no screen. It doesn't count as screen time if you're staring at this screen. This offseason has felt like staring at this screen, though. Nothing changes. People in the comments are upset. People in the comments are asking for NFL scoops. Usually you yell at us when we give you football talk, but apparently now you want it, because as thrilled as the Baseball Insiders are to be back on the air, I thought we would have something a little bit more concrete to talk about other than sort of ramblings and speculation, but that's where we sit. Again, thank you for joining us Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays here on the Baseball Insiders, 3:30 Eastern on Monday and Wednesday. If you are not subscribed, there's no better time than to get subscribed, because it can't possibly be slower than the last 3 weeks of December. If I'm reading the market right, if I'm reading the tea leaves, it's not really possible to do less than what's happened in the 10 days or so since we have been live. So obviously something's got to go down before spring training. How much? That is up for the world to decide. We've got plenty of content as well in the Discord. Join us at become a member. Hit that join button. You can join at either the All-Star tier or the Rumor Mill tier. The Q&A with Robert, 3:30 on Thursdays Eastern time, is now in the All-Star tier. We've seen some new All-Stars join us. We are very careful with the All-Stars who join us. We're going to keep track of what we share in that channel. We learn to trust our friends as time goes by. So please bear with us and become our friend. Come find us in the Discord. People wishing us a happy holidays. People honestly asking if I got good cards in Allen and Ginter. I don't know. Connor Norby Rip card, number to 199. Anybody into that? Very available. If you'd like to Venmo me, if you'd like to find me on eBay, I'd say we did fine. My autograph was John Kenzie Noel, another guy who is not currently on a Major League Baseball team. But there are bigger names out there. The Cody Bellingers, the Bo Bichetts, the Kyle Tuckers, Alex Bregman. Which big name moves first? Robert, who are we waiting for, or what are we waiting for?
That's a heck of a question. And I don't know which one moves first. If I had to guess, this is just a total guess by me, I would think it's maybe a Bellinger type. And to me, the clear and obvious
Bellinger type. So like Bellinger or someone like Bellinger?
Oh yeah, I guess Bellinger. Yeah, is Bellinger. I'll go Bellinger. I don't think there's another type out there. I mean, maybe there is. Who knows? That's for these teams to figure out, because it's free agency. You want to find some value. But I'll go with Bellinger. And to me, the clear and obvious fit for him in free agency is the Yankees. And do they pony up to keep him? My feeling, my guess is I think that's probably the best fit for him. So it all depends on whether or not they end up getting to the dollar value that Bellinger wants. But from a fit perspective and from a comfortability factor, I think it makes sense for both of these sides here. So that to me is the fit that I'm watching here. But shoot, we need some of these guys to come off the board here, especially the star level players. But just taking some time for these markets to accelerate here. But I feel like I can speak for everyone here. We want some action, especially now after the holidays.
Yeah, I'm sharing this comment not because it's how I feel per se, just, sharing the way that some Yankee fans are feeling right now. And you can ascribe those thoughts to me or to the commenter. Either way, however you're feeling, I won't, confirm or deny Also, just accidentally, my finger slipped. I shared this comment. It's a total accident. I didn't mean to share that. Hey, we got Tyler Milligan here, though. We've got Red Sox fans who I know are showing up for information on Alex Bregman. As Boston was rumored to have backed off this Ketel Marte chase a little bit after they swung the deal for Wilson Contreras, which is really the most recent big move we have, or even moderately big move. The Red Sox smartly adding a bat in Contreras. They still have yet to sign a free agent. They are doing their work via the trade market. And there are certainly more, Bregman to the Red Sox feels like a good use of that first free agent splash. But there are more contenders that you're hearing from on Bregman these last couple weeks than the Red Sox. You're hearing about the Blue Jays. There were some rumblings there. You are hearing about the Cubs even getting back in the market. There was some rumor I think yesterday, that the Tigers were still definitively not in. But then Evan Petzold today wrote a column imploring them to get involved. I guess they still could. But the one surprise contender that wasn't in Bregman's market last year and now appears to be the Diamondbacks. And if you're as bored as we are, you're reading and listening to everything right now. You listen to Dan Bickley on Arizona Sports 98.7 FM with Bickley and Murata. I assume that's the way that they advertise that show. Saying that Bregman to Arizona is a, quote, done deal, but only as far as he's concerned, and that he's heard that Bregman has expressed the same desire Corbin Burns did last year to get something done, to stay in Arizona. Now, done deal, again, just it feels like that radio host insinuating and saying that he believes that a deal will get done, not that a deal is done. I assume that you have not heard done deal on Bregman, Arizona, but are they a legitimate contender, more legitimate than the last time we spoke about them? Or are Red Sox fans just sort of sitting and waiting, but will eventually get what they want here?
Yeah, I'm just going to do a wide-ranging update here on Bregman and start with the Diamondbacks. Like, are they interested in Bregman? Yeah, they absolutely are. Is it sincere? It's a legit thing. That being said, it's tied to Ketel Marte because in my eyes, in my view, the Diamondbacks cannot keep Ketel Marte and then also sign Bregman. For me, it's one or the other. And if you trade Marte, and then signing Bregman becomes a whole lot more realistic. So until they move Marte, or even if they do move, or who knows if they move Marte. But for me, any chance of Bregman for Arizona hinges on Ketel Marte being traded or not. So that one is one. That's how I view that. I'll go to Toronto now because Toronto, we're talking about them with all the big names here, with Kyle Tucker, with Bo Bichette, and now with Bregman. For me, if I'm the Blue Jays, I would prioritize Bichette over Bregman. I think that shouldn't be a surprise. But that seems like something that they should do. And if you don't end up keeping Bichette, let's say he goes somewhere else. Let's say he goes to Boston. Then they can end up turning their attention to a guy like Bregman. And who knows, maybe they can even get a guy like Kyle Tucker as well. Again, I don't know. I would think pulling off two big stars like that would be really difficult for any team, even Toronto, even though they have plenty of money to spend and have been extremely active this offseason. But the Red Sox, to me, make the most sense out of any team here. And they saw his production offensively. They saw it defensively. And we've talked about it numerous times on the show, and I'll say it again, but his impact in that clubhouse, people there loved Alex Bregman. So from everything that they can consider here, they should be aggressive in that bidding and trying to keep him long-term rather than signing him to another short-term contract. But they're going to have to be more aggressive in terms of bidding because, as I've mentioned on the show before, they loved Kyle Schwarber, and I don't think they got anywhere close. And if they're not good, to me, like Schwarber should have been like the exception to the rule there, especially at the DH spot for the Red Sox, because that could have been their new big poppy. I realize how big of a comparison that is, especially in Boston. Like, I don't take that lightly by any means, but having him as your DH for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons would have been a huge thing for Boston. And I thought that was a missed opportunity, but they had a chance. They have a chance now to right that wrong with Bregman. Obviously not a full DH type. Like, I get that, but you know what you have there, and he's, to me, like a key part of that clubhouse and can take pressure off of the young guys like Roman Anthony and not make him do too much and put too much pressure on him in his first full season in the majors. So there's a lot of dominoes and factors at play here, and I think the Red Sox make a lot of sense. Another team that is on Bregman, at least from earlier this offseason, at least, is the Cubs. They had a Zoom meeting with him at the early part of the offseason. I still think they're interested there. So there's plenty of competition for Bregman services. It's not just the Red Sox.
Yeah, in my opinion, the Red Sox have done a good job adding known quantities this offseason. They have gotten, I don't know if I would say they've gotten better. They have effectively treaded water. They've added pieces where you know what you're getting in Contreras and Gray, and even Oviedo helps thicken out the rotation a little. They're still missing a centerpiece. Not in a way where I think they're in danger of a significant backslide if they don't land Bregman or Bichette, but in that I don't think they take a tangible step forward unless they give out one more contract to a big bat. I think they'll be fine either way, but I think you'll miss Bregman's leadership if you do not bring him back. So hopefully we do get a domino moving soon. We're able to lend credence to some of these rumors, emphatically stamp it, and move on. Now there is urgency from our side, from the fan side, for some of these big names to come off the market, but that's because we want to see the offseason move. There is real urgency to get Kazuma Akimoto a deal and Tatsuya Imai, both of whom coming over from Japan. Their posting windows expire January 2nd, January 4th. Like, we're going to have an Imai decision of some sort this week. Okamoto, by the end of the weekend, we've seen, and I see this super chat, that there is a rumor that he wants to be in Anaheim with the Angels, that he and his wife are Disney adults, which cap off. I mean, hey, we've all smelled the water on Pirates of the Caribbean. Some of us listen to the Epcot soundtrack at home. Been there, not me, but some people do that. But hey, it does seem like the Angels are involved here. So were the Pirates. So were the Padres. Okamoto is meeting with teams and representatives in the United States right now. Saw the Cubs, Red Sox, Blue Jays on that list as well. Even the Diamondbacks, kind of a complex fit, but that could work. What is your sense on this market? Again, we need a decision here in less than a week. So what is your sense on the way this market's developing?
I mean, it has to develop here before too long.
Yeah, freaking better.
Yeah, it has to, because as you said, January 4th is the day for Akimoto, and there's plenty of teams involved here. And I have seen this rumor. I cannot independently confirm that at this point. Any Angels pursuit and whether or not the Angels actually get him is going to hinge on Artie Moreno being willing to pony up for a guy like Akimoto. And to be totally real and to be totally honest, I don't know what he's going to get. I've had other teams asking the same thing, like, what do I think he gets? And I'm like, I don't know. And for the longest time too, with Murakami, we were talking upper $100 million for him. Mm-hmm. And now he ended up getting 2 years for $34 million. So clearly, like, we don't have a good feel on these kind of markets here yet. But the teams that I did see that John Heyman ended up mentioning for Akimoto included the Angels, included the Pirates, included the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, Cubs, and Diamondbacks. So it's nice to see the Diamondbacks mentioned on Akimoto, as well as obviously Alex Bregman as well. But I also love that the Pirates are still involved here, and they are indeed still involved with Akimoto, even after getting Ryan O'Hearn, which is really cool. And I'm gonna use this time here to praise the Pirates, because there's no real clarity here on Akimoto whatsoever. But what we do know is the Pirates are spending, and they have been aggressive this offseason. They've made moves to upgrade the offense. They got Brandon Lau in a trade with the Rays, and then they ended up getting Ryan O'Hearn on a 2-year, $29 million contract, their first multi-year deal in free agency since Ivan Nova. I've been critical of the Pirates. I've been critical of Bob Nutting. I've been critical of Ben Cherington. I've been critical of just their overall lack of urgency in free agency. But what they've done this offseason is give that fan base hope. I'm hearing from more Pirates fans. I'm seeing more Pirates articles, whether it's from beat writers or just from fans there, being optimistic about where this team is heading. And you have an all-world pitching staff headlined by Paul Skeens. You have an offense that's trending in the right direction, getting O'Hearn, getting Lau, and they're still trying to add more. That is incredibly exciting for me. If I was a Pirates fan, I've gotten crushed for it, whether on here or on foul territory, of saying that the Pirates could end up being a playoff team this coming season. I've also said in previous years, I get it. But to me, I'm ready to talk about the Pirates in the postseason. I give all the credit to Ben Cherington and to Nutting on this. I'm curious to see who else they end up with, because Akimoto is just one of the few guys that they are looking at here. But I want to give kudos to the Pirates, because it feels good to talk about them as spenders in free agency.
Yeah, and I am never one to make excuses for teams that just simply never spend. I have had, and we have pushed back on the Pirates plenty on this show, but I have had a little problem with people who are sort of clowning on them as if like, oh, so now we're supposed to applaud the Pirates for just getting to a wild card 3 ceiling with this offseason. I hear you, and I'm not going to say that you're out of line if that's your take, but they had a long road to traverse this offseason to even get back to respectability. And I question what people wanted them to do to elevate their ceiling beyond that. Like, I don't think signing Eugenio Suarez gets them much higher than having wildcard 3, wildcard 2 as their ceiling. And I don't think without a monumental move like bringing in Schwarber or Alonso or Bregman, or I don't even know if that would do it, but obviously when people say, oh, so now you're competing for that last wildcard spot, we're supposed to give you a parade, it would have taken signing the top free agent on the market in order to change that ceiling any further. And you have to take steps in the right direction before you can do something like that. So obviously, I'm sure there are aggrieved fans who wish they could have signed Alonso and Schwarber, but it takes two to tango. You have to be respectable before you can play at the very top of the market. And I think the Pirates have done what they had to do to get into the conversation. Now, what you do at the deadline, what you do next offseason, you've set yourself up to actually progress instead of tread water. They still have work to do to get there. But I think it's less laughable next offseason to expect a top-tier free agent to choose the Pirates. And I think they should be commended for that. And yes, Connor Griffin's arrival will help as well.
No, I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, it's cool to talk about the Pirates like being like in a really good spot to compete here. And Connor Griffin, I'm glad you ended up mentioning him. They have extremely high hopes for him. They don't want to put too much on his plate too early. Like, but that being said, you have him. If you can have him headline offense and then Skeens for the pitching staff, that gives you two of the better young players at the positions in baseball. And if you have Ryan O'Hearn there, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds to teach him and some of these other young guys how to be big leaguers, it's a great thing. But the Pirates too, like they're also open to adding to the rotation. They're also open to adding to the bullpen as well. So do they go out and spend big on a guy like Akimoto, or do they end up spending like mid-sized dollars on some of these other areas to improve some different aspects of the team? I don't know. But one thing I can confidently say is they're not done. And that's really cool.
Now, back to Imai before we take a couple more questions. The reports from yesterday that indicated he was speaking to Japanese TV and said he had teams showing interest but no concrete offers. Again, that clock is ticking. End of week, we have to make a decision here. Do you think he will progress to the point of finding a home, a short or long-term home by the end of the week? Or do you think he maybe just stays in Japan and tries it again? What is holding up this market from developing the way that we expected it to, or is it developing and everyone's just being secretive about it?
I mean, I think teams have questions for sure, exactly how he's going to end up translating over to the majors, but he also was, I think he was misquoted on that. I believe he does have offers. I think that was just a really bad misquote there by whoever that was, but there are plenty of teams involved with Imai. I think the Mets make a lot of sense. I think the Cubs make a lot of sense too. And with Imai, he's what, 27? Is that right? I feel like
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is the kind of player that the Mets would like to invest in, because they don't want to end up investing like meaningful years in dollars into someone who's in the back half of their career. There's still a tremendous amount of upside here with Imai, and they were aggressive in the bidding for a guy like Yamamoto. So if they were aggressive there, perhaps for a player of his talent and also his youth, could really end up playing into his favor there and get the Mets to be aggressive in that bidding. But there's other teams involved in this as well. I don't think there's a favorite at this point, but I do expect him to be in the majors at some point next season. I just don't know where it's going to be.
Yeah, got to figure that out quick again.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the uncertainty at this point with these guys needing to sign this week is pretty crazy. It's definitely unique here for sure.
Yeah. I find it disturbing, but we will hopefully have we need a concrete update this week. We will have one, but what it will be, I have no idea.
And also, I'm like Uncle Ted, I'm not comparing Imai to Yamamoto. Like, that's not something I'm doing at all. I'm just saying, like, that's the Mets were on Yamamoto, considering just how much they believed in him, but also his youth. And that's the part I'm saying is I'm not calling him Yamamoto. That would be a dangerous comp and not fair to Imai.
Yeah, not doing that either. But 27 Japanese league leading whiff rate. There's a lot to be intrigued by. That's why I'm surprised we haven't heard more. I see your super chat here on the Braves. Are they actually looking for a big starting pitcher? Maybe even a Framber Valdez fit. Appreciate the question. The Braves are always the most secretive touch and go organization. Any clarity on their plans at all, though?
I think they're open to it. Yeah, I think they would, if the offer or if the right player comes into focus there and they can end up getting a deal done at a dollar amount that's reasonable for them, I think they'd be very open to it. And they've made it clear that they're looking for starting pitching. And if you can end up adding a big arm to top the rotation or just to add to the rotation, that can make that team very dangerous. So I think that's something that is in play, but the likelihood, even Anthopoulos has admitted it. Like, it's really hard to kind of figure out the likelihood on those because big deals are just hard to get done or get across the finish line.
Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, and the O's go and get Zach Eflin yesterday. So I think all of us are trying to decide, okay, do they have another big fish starting pitcher in them, or does Eflin complete that rotation? They go shopping again at the deadline. That's a landing spot in Baltimore that I think I was looking at Ranger Suarez and Framber Valdez there. Now I don't know what I'm looking at. Any idea what the Orioles are planning?
Yeah, they're still in the market for another pitcher, and whether or not it ultimately ends up getting done, don't know. But getting Eflin done was a priority for them. They really like him, and it was funny. Yesterday, I'm watching football. I'm coming down from that Eagles game, and I'm like, I need to go celebrate with Chipotle and also draw my sorrows away from that offense because goodness me, is that offense terrible. But I go to Chipotle, drive. I'm coming back. And all of a sudden, the one and only phone call I get all day is while I'm driving, and it's the terms on Eflin, and I'm having to, like, at every stoplight try to tweet this thing out. So it was pretty hectic. But the long story short is they're still looking for pitching, and they've been incredibly active this offseason. They obviously wanted to shore up the rotation. They've did so. They're still trying to do so. They've got Ryan Helsley. They got Pete Alonso. They try for Kyle Schwarber. I mean, I love it. Good for the Orioles. And also, who is the guy they got from Tampa Bay? I'm forgetting
Shane Baz.
Oh, Shane Baz. Yeah, they gave up a lot for him, but I can say internally there, they view him as a very high-end starting pitcher for them. So they love the upside, and I know they were not alone in thinking that same thing.
Well, the Orioles still looking for pitching. We're still looking for moves, and we will appreciate everybody joining us on Wednesday with hopefully some more concrete updates. Thanks for coming today. Good to be back streaming. Good to be back ahead of the new year. Hope everyone enjoyed their holiday. We will see you again on Wednesday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern here on the Baseball Insiders.
Thank you, everybody.